Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Dudes podcast. Jason Wayne here. Hey, today I want to come at you guys with a MLB trade deadline video. As you know, it's just today's August 1st, by the way. Trade deadline just passed earlier today, so there were a number of moves to kind of cover. SoCal slant, of course, Dodgers, Angels made some moves that I wanted to run through first, and then I'll kind of go through some of the more prominent moves that were made around the league there. So busy day, man. Last couple days actually. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you'd be so kind, please subscribe, press like, and add some comments in the comments section below so we can help continue to bring you the info and the material that you guys are interested in. So let's get into it. Dodgers, man, they were busy this off season or this trade deadline time of year. So earlier today they acquired left-handed pitcher Ryan Yarbrough from Kansas City for Devin Mann and Derlin Figueroa. So, guy who won 16 games a couple years ago with Tampa Bay, bounced around a little bit since then. But Dodgers I think needed some starting pitching help. We kind of saw the young guys coming in there with like Grove. Bobby Miller's been solid. Who's the other one? I'm trying to draw a blank right now, but they've had some nice contributions, but also some ups and downs. The other day, Grove struggled, allowing a lot of runs. So, and then Gavin Stone, I guess they don't feel is quite there yet. So a lot of injuries as well with Kershaw being hurt. Pepio is a guy we were supposed to, maybe count on coming out of spring training. He's been hurt. Dustin May gets hurt again. Walker Buehler not going to be back till probably the end of this year. Hopefully he'll be able to step in and toward the end and contribute before playoff season here. So make a little stretch run addition there with that. But anyway, getting Ryan Yarbrough, not a bad pickup it looks like. Earlier today traded relief pitcher Phil Bickford and Adam Kolarek to the Mets for cash considerations. Bickford kind of a back of the row bullpen type of guy. So also traded Justin Brule to Colorado for cash. So left-handed pitcher that I guess kind of lost his spot there. It's kind of like Caleb Ferguson's been kind of the main lefty out of the bullpen there. But then we added starting pitcher Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly in that trade. So Joe Kelly, a guy we're familiar with, was with us a couple years ago. Both those guys from the White Sox for Trace Thompson, right-handed pitcher Nick Nastrini, and Jordan Leisure. So Lance Lynn. Actually, I was watching some of the game earlier. He was dealing out there today. Of course, they're playing Oakland, but still, Lance Lynn, not a bad pickup. A guy who's a solid innings eaters type, and he's bounced around to a couple of teams, but he's I think had a couple of solid years, especially namely with St. Louis and of course with White Sox recently. We also picked up infielder Ahmed Rosario from Cleveland for Noah Syndergaard, so the price on that wasn't too high. Syndergaard's a guy who's been injured with I think it was shoulder injury or something, so he hasn't been able to pitch, and even when he was in there, performance wasn't exactly blowing anyone away. So we added Kike Hernandez, utility man. That was a good pickup. I was glad to see Kike come back to Dodgers land here. We get him for Nick Robertson, relief pitcher, and Justin Hageman. So yeah, man, good to see Kike back in Dodger blue. He had actually 3-run double earlier today, so it was kind of nice to see him back out there. Very versatile player, as it says, utility player. Play a number of positions, but he also came up clutch for us a couple of years ago in the playoffs, man. So I'm happy Kike's back, man. He's kind of a guy we're all familiar with. Fans love him. So we had a deal in place to get Eduardo Rodriguez, left-hand pitcher from the Tigers, but he vetoed the trade, man. I was a little bit like, okay, he's got a no-trade clause there. I thought Eduardo would be happy to come to LA, man, join the Dodgers, help us in the stretch run here, head for the playoffs. You're going from Detroit to here. Apparently he didn't want to come, man, so he stays in Detroit, and I don't know what the deal with that was, but apparently he didn't want to come here, so whatever. All right, then, be that way, Eduardo. It's fine. Angels, the other side of town there, and of course in the American League, big deal for them, of course, keeping Shohei Ohtani, so that's a solid move for them. I was kind of one of the type that says, I don't know if I'd be so quick to trade him. I think they have a pretty decent chance of re-signing him, especially if they can put together a good roster around him, make a little bit of a stretch run or a run here toward the as we head toward the playoffs and kind of finish out the year. Going to be tough, man. I mean, you got Houston, you got Texas, Two teams that, by the way, were very busy this offseason in this trade deadline season and made some good acquisitions. But nonetheless, man, you still give them a chance, puncher's chance. They made some moves, I think, to try to give them a little, little added firepower. Didn't really add the pitching I was hoping they would, but let's, get into that a little bit. They get Dominic Leone from the Mets for infielder Jeremiah Jackson. Now that pickup that's been, I think, their weak link has been their pitching. They traded left-handed pitcher Tucker Davidson to Kansas City for cash. He's had some moments where he looked good, but some other not so moments where you're kind of going, okay. Just a revolving door there down in Anaheim. We add C.J. Cron and Randall Grichuk, both from Colorado. Grichuk, of course, the guy who was drafted by the Angels, was traded back in the day to St. Louis for somebody. But anyway, we give up right-handed pitcher Joe Madden and left-handed pitcher Mason Albright. Good gets there. I mean, C.J. Cron, a guy, of course, who was an ex-Angel, has some power. I think he crushed like 30 homers a couple years ago there with Tampa. Randall Grichuk, a guy I like. He's kind of bounced around, of course, with St. Louis and with Colorado most recently, but solid player, good outfielder, got a good bat there in the lineup. And, we should be getting Trout and some of the other guys back from injury. Drury, looks like Taylor Ward kind of got an injury the other day, got something facial injury, man. So probably needed some outfield depth there. And then, of course, Joe Adell, was injured with an oblique. So there's been some injuries that are kind of nagging the team that I think they needed to fill in a few spots there. But their big get was getting Lucas Giolito and right-hand pitcher Reynaldo Lopez. Price was a little steep. You hear good things about this Edgar Carroll, the catcher they gave up, and left-handed pitcher Kai Bush, both go back to the White Sox in that deal. And then Giolito is also a free agent, I understand, at the end of this year. So kind of a rent-a-vet type. Hopefully they make an effort to try to keep him around because, starting pitching, aside from Ohtani, I mean, Anderson's been all right, but, these other guys, Canning and kind of and such are kind of lackluster. I mean, that was always a strength of the team years back. Now it's been kind of, I don't know, this seems like it hasn't been addressed, the pitching issues. But anyway, this helps a little bit, getting a few pitchers here and some bats. So it looks like a decent move. They're hanging in there. I think they're a fun team to watch. They have a lot of power bats in the lineup. Getting Moustakas, and then of course Moniak's been really good, along with Ohtani and Renifo. Getting some production out of the catching positions there. So hey, let's see if we can kind of keep things going there in Angel Land and keep it going. I'm a guy who goes for both Dodgers and Angels, so people don't flip out about that. But it's like, hey, I grew up with both of them and have followed both since I was a kid. Back in the 80s. Fireworks there. Yeah, I'm dating myself there, but, no matter. A lot of deals around the league, so I'll kind of just cover a few of these. I mean, we can nickel and dime this thing to death and just go through every move that was made, but I'm going to kind of go through more of some of the prominent names. Miami earlier got Josh Bell from Cleveland for John Segura and Khalil Watson. So Josh Bell, guy who, of course, provided some punch for the Padres last year in their stretch run. Miami picks him up. Baltimore gets one of the sought-after pitchers in the market this trade season, Jack Flaherty. So Baltimore picks him up from St. Louis for 3 prospects: Cesar Prieto, Drew Rom, and Zach Showalter. I wonder if that's got to be Buck Showalter's relative or kid or something, right? Showalter is not a name you hear about all the time. Arizona gets Tommy Pham from the Mets for shortstop Jeremy Rodriguez, guy with a bat. And the Mets, man, they just selling off there, man. I mean, they had big hopes going in after this offseason with all the moves they made. They've been trading away the whole trading away their whole roster here, man, and kind of retooling it. So I guess they're kind of just throwing in the towel there. Texas gets Austin Hedges from Pittsburgh for international signing bonus pool space. Texas, of course, also gets Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton from St. Louis for infielder Thomas Segis, Tekoa Roby, and John King. So St. Louis, another team that's kind of, I think, in sell mode. They probably aren't going to be climbing the standings. At least might as well make some moves and get some prospects back. Texas, of course, also got Max Scherzer and cash from the Mets for Luis Angel Acuna. So interesting. Texas, the Mets, man, they signed both Scherzer and Verlander recently, and both have already been traded away. Of course, Verlander being the other one, goes back to Houston from the Mets for outfielders Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford. Houston also gets Kendall Graveman from the White Sox for catcher Corey Lee. So, yeah, man, Angels made some moves, but Texas and Houston were busy too, getting some, looks like some solid additions there. They're kind of in go for it now mode. I hope they end up short, but hey, we'll see what happens. Philly gets Michael Lorenzen from Detroit, a guy who was an Angel last year, for Yao Lee. The Toronto adds Paul DeJong and cash from St. Louis for Matt Swanson, right-handed pitcher. San Diego is busy. They got Rich Hill and Ji-Man Choi from Pittsburgh for Jackson Wolf, left-hand pitcher, outfielder Estuar Suero, and first baseman Alfonso Rivas. So San Diego is one of those teams that they, of course, been spending on lots of money getting these guys. With Soto, Machado, signing Xander Bogaerts, and it's just like on and on that list. I don't know where all this money's coming from, but they were kind of on the fence where they're going to be in sell mode or go for it mode. Adding veteran like Rich Hill and first baseman Ji-Man Choi, guess they're going to try to put together a little run here. That division's still it's still up for grabs in a way. Dodgers are kind of up there, but Arizona's hanging around. San Diego's kind of still in there. San Fran's still in there, so anything could happen. Atlanta gets Brad Hand, left-handed pitcher from Colorado, for Alec Barger. Arizona gets Jace Peterson from Oakland for Chad Patrick. Poor Oakland, man. I hope the team stays there. It sounds like it's headed for Vegas, but the fans are chanting the "sell the team" chant there in LA today. Sell the team. I think they're trying to get support wherever they go to encourage fans to try to force a sale of the team. And yeah, it kind of I don't know, man. I like to see the Bay Area have the Giants and A's. And A's had some great teams there in the late '80s and early '90s. Fun team, man, a great fan base and organization. It's just too bad their stadium's a dump. They never spend any money on anybody. They never sign any big free agents. They keep having to kind of like patch this thing together, and then they still have some pretty decent years where you're going, hey, come on, A's. But unfortunately, that new owner is kind of has other plans, and looks like he's trying to work his way toward Vegas. It sounds like they've kind of what's his name, Manfred's not exactly putting his foot down to stop this thing. He's kind of allowing it to happen. But Giants get AJ Pollock and Mark Mathias from Seattle for cash and other consideration. And Chicago Cubs get Yamir Candelario. That's a good pickup there. From Washington for Kevin Made, shortstop, and left-hander pitcher DJ Hers. Milwaukee gets Mark Canha from the Mets for Justin Jarvis, a pitcher. And they also got Carlos Santana, not the guitar player, but Carlos Santana, the first baseman power hitter, from Pittsburgh for Johnny Severino. Miami got David Robertson from the Mets. There's another Mets trade, man. They're just giving them away, man. They're just trading everybody. Infielder Marco Vargas and catcher Ronald Hernandez going back. So, yeah, and then Toronto gets Jordan Hicks from St. Louis for two right-handed pitchers. Those are the main ones, man. I think all these other ones are kind of just teams just making some moves, but not really the big name that you would, that I'm sure are more recognizable. And also teams that are kind of in the thick of the race are the ones kind of going and adding some depth to their team and kind of filling out the roster for a stretch run here. So, yeah, man, it's been fun. I think it's always exciting when trades and free agents happen. So glad to figure I'd come out with a new fresh video. I haven't talked to you guys for a little while. So come up with you a new one for this MLB deadline video. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Probably be back soon with some NFL stuff. That's just around the corner. Training camp's underway. Here, I'm in Oxnard, California, right? The Cowboys are just up the street. Not a Cowboy fan, but they're here and their fans are all over the place, and they're, football season's coming back, man. So I think that's going to be fun for all of us football junkies and sports nuts out there. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you soon in the next one. All right. Bye.